So friends, exactly this is what happens when an energy efficiency project is proposed for the financing, right? Its outcome is disbelieved. The confidence on the project is not there. Budget priorities are not there, and the things don't move on. And the project is actually does not get implemented, right? It's just a coincidence so that I could actually relate it to. Yeah. So let's see further. So in our 8 series, the two which we have seen already is defining baseline and ideation. It happened on 6th of October. And finalizing project, we discussed on this on 12th of October. Today, we will be elaborating on financing of energy efficiency projects, then procurement, implementation, daily and monthly monitoring of energy saving project, then operation and maintenance of energy saving projects, and then summary and key takeaways from all the sessions. So this is planned on every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 o'clock. So please do join. And our 25 years of experience, we thought that we must share with the fraternity, with the customers, with the OEMs, with the financiers. So we are actually sharing our last 10 years of energy performance contracting experience, wherein we have done all these things on the floor. We have actually delivered these savings. We have actually financed the projects, and that's what we are sharing with all of you. So the objective is learning, right? And believe me, when I'm making this kind of presentation, when I am sharing all my learning, I am also learning at the same time as well, because times have changed. The business models are changing very fast. The situation of everything is changing. So learning is very, very key and very important thing for everything. So what we learned, just we will have a recap of everything, right? In the baseline is actually a representation of what is the energy consumption level at a plant level or at an equipment level or at a process level, right? Because from this number, we have to get down to the reduction, right? So defining baseline is actually key to success of your project, because after the project is implemented, then you will have to demonstrate the savings. So for that, it is always very strongly recommended that right baselining must be fixed before the implementation of the project, right? And all the stakeholders must agree to it, right? And we therefore very strongly suggest that keep it simple. And transparency helps everyone, whether it is ESCOS, whether it is bank, whether it is OEM, it helps everyone, right? Then the right baseline also helps in right diagnosis, right? Because there are specific energy consumption level at utilities, at process, at production. And then these specific energy consumption level, these efficiency levels are actually an indication of the saving potential, right? So always remember that energy saving is a long-term phenomenon, and it starts with baselining. So this is the actual outcome of a project, wherein the green line is the baseline, and then after the project is implemented, then the blue line is the after project scenario, wherein we have converted all the electricity consumption, fuel consumption into rupees, because that's how you can equate. And then the prices of the fuel or energy was also equated, and then what was the price afterward. So like that, this is the importance of a baseline, because this is how you will have to demonstrate, or this is how we will have to demonstrate, or anybody will have to demonstrate, whosoever is doing energy saving project. So expectations from energy efficiency project is always difference between two numbers. First one is baseline, and second one is outcome of your ideation, right? So that's how the ideation is also equally important. Ideation means what and how you are going to save energy. So we discussed in detail that we have to begin from the baseline, and we have to pre-convince our mind that this is the level at which we are operating. So whatsoever technology we may choose, finally we will have to demonstrate the energy saving from the same baseline, right? So right diagnosis results into right ideation. Fresh work is absolutely necessary. We never believe in copy a kind of work like this is the project which we implemented in this industry. So let's keep on finding that project potential and then keep implementing, not that way. Every project is a specific project. In every project, detailed diagnosis is absolutely necessary, right? And verification of baseline is also necessary, right? It's not that we have to just go ahead with it, right? And with every ideation, what is important? Like, for example, you choose second or third best, right? So you will definitely reduce down the specific energy consumption, or you will improve the energy efficiency. But if you do not choose the best energy saving project for you, so then the baseline is reduced. So your payback period will go up, right? So that is why the ideation is very, very important. Okay. And this is, I mean, the number of projects are enormous. There is absolutely no end to it, right? But we have to list down all of them. So let's move next. Then, when there are so many project ideas, they are there, it doesn't mean that there is a good saving potential, there is a good a payback, that's why you implement that project. No. Is that project the best project? That is what is important. And combination of all the project whenever we do, because whenever you are targeting a reduction of 20%, you will have to implement multiple projects. It cannot be achieved with one single project. And when you are doing multiple projects, then what is the impact of one project on another? That is also to be studied in detail. And this is what we discussed. And all these sessions are also available on our YouTube channel. You can visit to them anytime, and you can refer that as well. So friends, once the project is finalized, then the key issue of financing comes in, right? But what is the purpose of finalizing the project is to maximizing the outcome, that is the savings, energy cost savings. So that's how finalization of project is very, very important, because there are n number of projects, there are n number of opportunities, and any project which is having a good project, that I will repeat and I again say that doesn't sacrosanct to the situation that we have to implement that project. It is observed very clearly that there are plenty of medicines in a medical shop, right? But doctor prescribes us a few only, right, based on the diagnosis, and we take that and then we get cured. Absolutely same is the process with energy efficiency project. While there are plenty of technologies, a few are selected and then that target is achieved. We may target 10%, we may target 15%, we may target 25%. And in all these cases, I mean, up to 30%, we have seen that, we have delivered that energy cost savings are possible. But the set of projects becomes completely different. So we need to target our technologies based on the number which we are trying to achieve in terms of reduction in energy cost. So once the project is finalized, then it is very important that how the financing of energy efficiency project will happen. Frankly speaking, friends, the cost of any energy efficiency project is not even 5% of total plant and machinery cost which has been put by any factory or any building. It is even less than that, right? However, we still feel and find and experience that the financing of energy efficiency project is quite difficult, right? So we have evolved with this. We have tried to solve this problem, and we have come up with a way, and we have done it in last 10 years, and we are sharing with you that, right? So friends, what we have to share with you is that a good energy efficiency project does not necessarily requires a budget, right? I will explain all this in this session, but we mean that, right? Let's see how. So in this session, we have around 11, 12 sections, right? So we will go through them, all of them, right? I have tried to make it as simple as possible. And I have also tried to make all those important issues which we have faced, which we have solved, right? And I'm discussing with you, right? And whatsoever queries you have, please do put in the question box, right? So whenever we are trying to finance anything, right? Whenever we are trying to invest anything, right? So what happens is there is a cost and there is a value out of it, right? So as anything can be understood in a 2x2 matrix. So here is the cost, here is the value in 2x2 matrix, right? So obviously low cost, high value, that is what has to be our focus, right? Because that's why, and that's how we say that even if the payback period is feasible, right? Even in that situation, projects are not getting financed because that clarity is not there whether this is the best avenue for making the investment. And second issue is that even if the project is implemented, whether the savings will happen or not, whether the cash flow will happen as the way it is projected or not. So accountability. Who is going to take this accountability? So this aspect is very, very important, right? So finally, the overall financing of energy efficiency project, we have seen primarily based on these two picks. So let's proceed further, right? So the first agenda of today's discussion is we need to revisit energy efficiency in terms of money, right? Because anything which is getting financed has to be understood in terms of money and not in terms of energy efficiency. So usually what happens is any energy efficiency project or energy conservation project is quite a technical project. Now what happens in case of a renewable project is everybody knows that we are finally going to get 4 units of electricity by 1 kilowatt of solar photovoltaic in a day, right? It is a standard number, right? The number can be 4, the number can be 4.5, and with some technologies even 5, right? But this is the number so much and so much proof that this kind of a knowledge becomes equally acceptable to the decision maker, to the financier, right? But that's not the case with energy efficiency. So that's where energy efficiency projects are quite different. And same is the case with wind. With windmill, even what happens is even the windmills are managed by someone else, right? So it's all about making investment, right? And there are plenty of successful cases, right? Whereas energy efficiency project, in fact, there are failure cases, right? So that is the reason all these issues need to be solved first in order to ensure financing of energy efficiency project, right? So what happens here is, what is the saving potential, right? Monetary as well as environmental. That means the GHG emission reduction. Nowadays, corporates are coming up with their targets for GHG emission reduction, right? So that aspect is also to be considered along with the payback, right? And that is the reason acceptance for energy efficiency project is ever increasing, because there are corporates who have committed that they will become net zero by 2030 or 2040, right? It's impossible to get all the energy from renewable sources, right? They will have to make their processes efficient. And on the other side, number of technologies available from energy efficiency point of view are phenomenal, right? Then what will be the disruption in day-to-day operation by energy efficiency project? Because energy efficiency project happens within the plant, within the facility, right? So what would be the shutdown requirement, right? Impact on facility operations, right? It should not be having any negative impact on the facility operations, right? Because that kind of a worry always happens, right? And this kind of detailing is never done in any energy audit report, right? And that is the reason the decisions for implementing the project rarely happens on all the recommendation of the energy audit report, right? What would be the reliability of operation, right? How much will be the savings? But that is the second thing, right? My production should not get interrupted, right? There has to be good reliability of this retrofit. What is the overall life of this energy efficiency project? So all these questions do come, and any proposal for energy saving project has to answer all of them, right? To the comfort level of decision maker and not to the comfort level of the one who is preparing the report, right? And then how the surety of the savings will be continued, right? The question needs to be answered. Then what is the investment versus what is the return, right? These are the finally two important numbers, right? And then there has to be a comparison with other ROI options, right? It's not that just the payback period is less than 2 years and that should be a sufficient reason to implement the project. So can we demonstrate this? That this is the utility bill, and out of all the initiatives we are going to take, we are going to bring down the utility bill by 20%. Are we pitching like this? So if we are pitching like this, then the response is phenomenally different, and that's why we did it. In our case, we chose the number of 20%, right? Because less than 20%, the customers were not very happy. The top management or the finance guys were not happy with it, right? But more than 20%, the payback period were going very high, right? Because and the technology reliability, because comparatively those technologies are newer, so those questions were also coming up. So that's why we chose 20, right? Any number is fine, even 5% or 10% is also fine, right? But everything begins by deciding this number first. Let's see next. Let's see business profit versus energy cost, right? What is happening is there are many sectors and then there are many businesses in each of those sectors, right? The businesses are large, medium, or small. The businesses could be manufacturing or businesses could be services, right? But one thing is common for all of them, right? That is the equation of profit. So what is the revenue minus what is the expense in a simplest possible definition of profit, right? Here, the revenue is constrained by sales as well as competition, right? You can't keep the prices of your product. For many products, the market defines what is the cost, right? So you have to control your expenses only in order to get a better profit, right? And also the operations people and maintenance people, right? The sales is not their KRA, right? So what is in their KRA? In their KRA, energy cost is there, right? And what we have also seen that all the expenses are finally coming down in two categories. One, where it is falling in the core competency of any business organization, any company, right? And then second category of expenses which are not there in their core competency. Obviously, the expenses which are there in their core competency, for that they are the best suited, right? But energy efficiency is such a domain, is such a field, right? Even if even I claim after 30 years of experience, right, there are many technologies which even I am not aware of, right? And those options are coming very fast. The innovation, speed of innovation is I mean, I would say more than rocket, right? So many things are coming every day, right? So that is why what happens is, what are all those possible ways through which energy costs can be reduced, actually coming out into the not in the core competency domain of most of the businesses. Rather, I would say all of the businesses. And there are several businesses which are having significant portion of energy costs, right, in their monthly expenses, right? And all these energy costs, to the extent of 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, up to 30% can be reduced by energy efficiency project. We have seen solar photovoltaic as well as windmills, right, which are having a payback period of 4 to 6 years, right? They are getting very fast acceptance, right? But not energy efficiency, right? Because energy efficiency is not that straightforward. Energy efficiency is not that easy. And there is not one single energy efficiency project. There are multiple projects, right? However, the opportunity is phenomenal. Here, the payback period is of the order of 1.5 years or maximum 2 years, right? So when the energy costs are reduced, the profit can certainly be enhanced, right? So this is how we need to pitch it. Let's see further. So what happens is, the moment we get into a financial acceptance of any project, right? There is always a project cash flow, right? And we need to calculate internal rate of return, right? Because this IRR is a number based on which the company has made its own feasibility for setting up a plant or setting up a commercial building, right? So here what happens is we have to demonstrate all the cash flows, right? And then we have to calculate the IRR, right? So here IRR is, internal rate of return, and IRR is 33%, right? And 33% IRR is a phenomenally good IRR. Here what happens is, when this kind of numbers are seen by the financial professionals, so they know that the IRR in most of the projects or most of their earlier investments have been of the order of 18%, right, or 20% or 25%, and here it is 33%. So the interest comes in. We need to talk in their language. To the banks, we need to talk in the language in which bank understands, not in the language of energy efficiency, because even the corporate decision makers or the bankers absolutely do not understand energy efficiency language, and we cannot expect that language to be understood by them. So we need to present all this in the language in which they understand, So this is very, very important. So we made all our projected cash flows of all our energy performance contracting cases in this way. And then the banks got convinced. And then we did the projected cash flow for any project, then how much was the actual investment, and then how much was the actual savings achieved month on month, right? We monitored that and we kept on sharing, right? Even if the loan was sanctioned to us, right? Even then we did it, right? Because it was very much important for us to get that kind of confidence in the bank, like the way projected cash flows are, the reality is also like that. So when all this is done, the confidence level improved a lot, right? However, this is past, right? Now, what we are doing these days is, because definitely ESCOS cannot finance, right? Their core competence is not finance. Their core competence is delivering energy savings, right? So what they have to do, ESCOs have to do, is to come up with the project and plan it in such a way and ensure that the savings are more than the monthly lease rental or monthly EMI, right? Simple. I mean, what is the monthly cash outgo minus what is the monthly cash inflow, right? Inflow in the sense the savings, right? Because EMI or the lease rental, if it is paid as a part of the savings, right, there is a positive cash flow for the customer also, right? So everybody is gaining in this model, right? So let me share this case. So in this case, the process heating was carried out by electrical, right? There was dryer in that process, several dryers in each of the machine. So we converted them to a thermic fluid based system. And in that thermic fluid based system, the biomass based firing was there. So GHG emission was reduced by 95%, right? And the energy cost saving was 65%, right? So that is the language in which technically energy efficiency project is presented. However, the financial presentation of the project goes like this, that the annual energy cost savings, right? So that is around 69 lakhs. The total capital cost, 1.15 crores. Monthly savings is 5.74 lakhs, right? And then there is the interest cost and the cost of financing, all those things. So every cost component has to be included into the project, right? And then the EMI. So here you see that the cash inflow, I mean the savings is 5.75 lakhs, and the cash outflow, which is EMI or the lease rental, is 3.84 lakhs. So there is a net positive cash saving of around 1.9 lakhs for the customer, right? And then so it's a positive thing for everyone, right? Okay, so this is how the financial acceptance for the project was achieved. Let me share another project, right? Evaporative condenser is a phenomenal technology which reduces energy cost in chillers, right? And we know that significant portion of overall energy goes into air conditioning, right? All the commercial buildings, if we see the energy consumption in air conditioning is of the order of 40 to 70%, right? So this technology, when it is presented technically, that can only be understood by technical people. Even they find it very difficult to understand. But it has to be presented in the financial language, wherein the monthly savings are 90,000, that is 89,550, and the EMI, right, is around 58.5 thousand, right? So there is a net positive cash flow of around 31,000 rupees, right? Okay, and ESCOs have to ensure that these numbers are there. ESCOs have to give this guarantee for these numbers, right? So that's how the future of energy efficiency and future of energy efficiency financing is going to happen. And finance will have to come from the bankers because it's their business, right? ESCOs, yes, there are several ESCOs, including us. We have done the investments, we have taken loan, right? But that's not our core competency, right? And there is a limitation, right, to which we can take or any ESCO can take loan, right? Because their balance sheet sizes are fairly limited, right? Whereas the bank, whereas the customer's balance sheet size is way bigger, right? And all these kind of things can be done simply through even lease financing, right? Or debt financing, whichever way the customers are looking for. So let's proceed further, right? What financials look into a project, right? So first of all, there has to be a large business volume. Friends, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India, we all aware of this organization. They had made a projection around several years ago, 17,000 crores, right? It is actually much, much bigger than that. So this is the total business potential. Friends, just recollect these two examples, right? When Fiat and Ambassadors were there in the market, Maruti came in, and then we all changed our cars to Maruti just for want of kitna average hai, right? How much is the kilometer we are going to get per liter, right? And then we calculated, and the fuel costs were going high, right? LED savings are also known to everyone, and LED technology is also adopted by most of the people, right? Even if vegetable market, right? If we visit there, right, people use LED, right, and not the bulbs. But is that the energy efficiency has come up only in these two areas? No, not at all. In every area, same kind of potential and same kind of proven energy efficient technologies are there. So that's the potential of energy efficient technologies, right? So getting back to the bankers' view on it, or the NBFC's view on it, right? What is the credit worthiness of borrowers, right? So actually, these borrowers, I mean, actually the end customer, right? They are already having their plant and machinery, and which is costing more than 95% of, I mean, already they have done it, right? The energy efficient component would be hardly 5% of their total plant and machinery, right? So that's why it is very small, right? The issue is the customer is not confident about the saving potential, and that is where the ESCO's responsibility is, and they will have to deliver that, right? And we have done that, right? And many ESCOs are doing that, right? Now, there has to be good ROI, return on investment from the project, right? So that's what is energy efficiency project. It is having very good return, right? And there has to be a transparent cash flow, like the way we demonstrated there. And all these numbers in the cash flow should be achieved month on month. That's the job, right? And there, so on, there are so many things, right? So from financial perspective, there are the things are revenue, expenses, net income, cash flow, and asset value, right? So these are the 5 basic points which we have observed that most of the financing cases, whether it was SBI or whether it was Citi or whether it was Tata Cleantech, who provided us finance totally on the project cash flow basis without collateral, right? So even without collateral, financing in the domain of energy efficiency is happening way back, right? We have to only scale up that. So friends, time has come for the banks and NBFCs to finance directly to the end users, right? And the green financing, right? This term is coming up from the bankers or NBFC side only, right? And it's coming in a big way, right? Friends, from the end user perspective, let us again see the energy efficiency, cash flows, and GHG emission reduction, right? There are many, many technologies for energy cost savings, so opportunities are very big, right? The potential for savings is very good for, I would say, every industry, right? And then there is a positive cash flow, right? We have seen that how positive cash flow can be achieved, right? Okay. Then the steps involved are in fact much more, right? This is ideation, project finalization, implementation, ensuring savings, right? And all these things, right? When ESCOs work, they deliver it on the platter, right, for the end customer, right? So what happens? Most of the shop floor operating team, or most of the maintenance team, or most of the engineering team is normally termed as a cost center, right? But energy efficiency is an opportunity for them to convert it from a cost center to a profit center, because for them the budgeted energy cost is X number, right? And if they can deliver it X minus something, right? So that's the way the profit is generated by these two departments as well, right? And that's the way many leading corporates are looking at it, right? And then energy efficiency definitely gives a leadership position in your industry, in whatever industry you come from, right? Energy efficiency definitely gives you a leadership position, right? And as GHG emission reduction is a big responsibility on all of us, many corporates have already taken it, right? So every energy efficiency project will reduce down the GHG emission reduction. So there is all gain, right? Of course, it's not easy, right? But there is all gain in it. See further. Original equipment manufacturer, I mean the chiller manufacturer or LED manufacturer or compressor manufacturer, all of them would come under OEM category, ESCOS, clients and other stakeholders. So what is their role, right? Actually, OEM's role is very important in energy efficiency project, right? Because all the technologies actually belong to them, right? However, the saving potential is not technology dependent. That happens only in case of LED, right? In every case, it differs from case to case basis. Like in case of energy efficient motor, right? Whether you use i3, i4 or i5 motor, right? Your savings will be different, right? It's not that what we get it, the constant and same savings to LED, right? So that's where the actual saving potential from each of the energy saving technology is different, right? And that is where ESCO's role become very important and very significant, right? Wherein on a given baseline, what is the difference they can create? And that's their job, right? So ESCOs are actually much better suited, right, to deliver these kind of outcomes, right? However, ESCOs cannot work in isolation. They will have to work in tandem with the OEMs, in tandem with the banks, and they are the actually the oiling agent, right, in the whole cycle, right? They have to connect with the customer, they have to connect with the financiers, they have to connect with the OEM, and finally, it is ESCO's job to deliver the savings on the ground. So friends, like a cricket team, that kind of a role, right? There is somebody who is a captain, there is somebody who is a wicket keeper, there is somebody who is a bowler, and then a good team, right, finally wins. So unless and until this kind of a team work is not there, right, good energy saving is not possible. So what we did was, we did very good relationship with all the OEMs, right? We did good relationship with the bankers, right? Because when your project is ready, your banker should know you in advance, right? Otherwise, it doesn't happen, right? So let's move next. So end of the day, right? Let me simplify things, right? See, there is an investment which is being made, right? Whosoever is making the investment, whether the customer is making the investment or the ESCO is making the investment, right? But are we able to see the savings with clarity? That is more important, right? Okay, it should not be the left-hand side kind of a pick. It has to be the right-hand side kind of a pick, and that's the job, right? So the future of energy efficiency project and financing, let me share that, right? This is how it goes. ESCOs identify the projects, right? And if the ESCO is actually a service-based ESCO who does not manufacture any product, right? So then they are very, very generic and very seeing interest in every technology, right? Because since they do not come from a specific product, their job is finally to do the diagnosis and come up with the best possible project, right? So that's how is the importance of a service-based ESCO, right? Then ESCOs definitely gives guarantee for the savings, right? ESCOs implement the project as a turnkey contractor. ESCO facilitate the finance to the energy end user, right? And finance is finally taken by the energy end user, right? And the essence of all this activity is that EMI or the lease rental, right? These are the two things, right? Based on that, the depreciation will go to whom? That is what is decided. But fundamentally, monthly cash outgo versus monthly cash inflow, right? These are the two numbers which energy efficiency project has to deliver, right? And that's how we strongly say that there is no separate budget needed, because otherwise this much of amount you would have anyway paid or would have been paying through your energy bill, right? Any customer pays their energy bill, right? Whatsoever that number is, right? And when an energy efficiency project is implemented, so that number is reduced, right? What is all needed is to deliver a well-accepted savings, right? Very transparent method of delivering savings, right? So that's how we say that there is no budget needed, right? Then it is very much possible to generate positive cash flow. It's not that when the payback period is over, then only then positive cash flow will start for the customer. No, positive cash flow can start from the customer right from the day or time of commissioning of an energy efficiency project, right? ESCO's role is to maintain the savings, right? And OEMs and ESCOs must work in tandem with each other, right? Because all the technologies are actually belonging to the OEMs, right? And that's how we say and we deliver that a good energy efficiency project does not necessarily require a separate budget, right? And the time has come for that. Friends, let me also share some of the actual work which we have done. So this was Vivanta by Taj group at NCR, New Delhi. So investment of 2.37 crores. We achieved savings of 2 crore 3 lakh 14,000 around. And GHG emission was around 2,300 metric ton per year, right? And this project delivered ROI of 85%. And the projects which we implemented here were chiller controller, then CTI approved cooling tower, VFD on HUs, LED lighting, laundry revamping, that was a very key project. Then online condenser tubing cleaning system on the chiller, that was done, and the heat pump. So these were the projects which were specific to this particular installation. For every project, right, these projects are quite different, right? But we do not go with any preconceived mind that these are the set of projects we are going to implement here or implement there, right? So what we have done, we have developed our competency on 30 energy efficient technologies. And what we have seen that out of these 30, finally we have to select 5 or maximum 10 energy efficiency projects, right, to reach out to a number of 20% savings, right? In some of the cases, 10% or 5% savings also. Like for example, in case of furnaces, wherein one single equipment itself is consuming almost 80-85%. In those cases, it is impossible to get to 20% savings. But in that cases also, 5% savings means a huge benefit to the unit. So the green color is before project energy cost, and then the orange color and blue color is the after project, right? So this is how the savings were achieved and consistently delivered month on month, and in fact 2 years. These are the pictures of some of the projects which we have already implemented. And again, I will say that these are not the only set of limited technologies, right? These technologies are as high as number of medicines available in a medical shop, right? We know only 30 out of them, right? However, in these 30, we can definitely say that we would be covering almost 80 to 90% of energy saving potential in any enterprise, in any organization. So this is the site of projects and their outcome in buildings as well as in production-based factories, right? So you see here so many technologies in this table, right? Then their applicability different sector-wise, right? And then their saving potential, right? So all these projects have actually been implemented and the savings have been actually delivered. Friends, we have come up with a program. I thought that I will share that also with you, right? So what happens is energy efficient motors have really come in a very matured way in form of the technology, right? And friends, here we are not talking about IE3 motor, we are talking about IE4, IE5, right? And some advanced kind of servo motor as well, right? So here there is a potential to come up with at least 10% to 20% guaranteed savings on those identified motors. Here, these kind of savings are not possible in all the motors, but what we have seen that at least 30 to 40% of the motors, right, in any factory can deliver saving potential in between these two numbers. So that itself is a big number. So if you are interested to join this, there is a link which is given. I request Kunal to share that link in the chat section also, right? Or in Q&A so that everybody can get that, right? And here the demonstration of the saving is very clear, right? Before the project, how much motor is drawing, right? So that much of kilowatt can be measured, right? And after that, how much it is drawing, right? So that's how it is. And if there is a variable load, then, or if there's a cyclic load, Then for 1 hour, how much is the consumption, right? And then for the same production level in 1 hour, how much is the consumption? So like that, these savings are very, very transparently demonstrated. On the top of it, you can see the pic of the picture before and pic of the picture after. So friends, what is happening? I mean, in a very simplistic form, basically what we do is we do cost analysis, right? And we are talking about energy cost only, right? Then we do opportunity evaluation, right? What are all those opportunities which are available, right? And then we optimize them, right? Because we have to get with the best possible set of things, right? We do not have a target to sell any equipment or any particular technology, right? We keep our access open to almost all the technologies, right? And then the most important job that an ESCO has to do, or we have to do, and we have done that, is the transfer the savings in a very, very transparent manner. So friends, this is what I have to share with you in today's presentation. I now request Kunal to read out all those questions. Answer them. Friends, we request you to please come up with your all the questions, right? Or all the comments also. Most welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. First question which is come is what is the green financing?
See, actually, what is happening is green is an adjective which everybody wants, right? We have seen green buildings, right? It's not that they are green, right? We have seen green production, we have seen green productivity, right? We have seen green factory, right? And then their certifications, right? So bankers have also come up with green financing, and in these green financing, they have built their competency to finance an energy efficiency project, right? Or to finance a renewable energy project, right? And there are NBFCs, right, which are financing only green projects, right? Like for example, Tata Clean Tech Capital, right, which is actually subsidiary of Tata Capital, right? They finance only renewable energy and energy efficiency project, right? So that complete bank is with a single one purpose, right? But what other banks are doing? Other banks are coming with a department, with a section, right, or with a set of people who are actually doing green financing, right? Yeah. The next one.
Yeah. So I'll go to the next one. If all equipments are to be financed is difficult for each project, how can the lender knows and identify the asset that he to be charged as security?
See, what happens is fundamental financing of debt financing, right? Let me share these two approaches. One is the debt financing and another is the lease financing, right? So when you take lease, right? So what happens is the equipment or your car belongs to the leasing company, right? And you are simply paying the lease rental, right? So it is 100% financing. That is what the concept I'm taking from the lease financing, right? And based on your repayment capacity, that lease financing is given to you, right? And even in case of debt, right? Now what is happening is this concept of lease financing is being picked up, right? And they are financing 100%, right? So in debt financing, when the financing is 100%, right, for the customer, then what happens is customers' cash outgo, right, for that particular project is not there, right? So in that case, what happens is, and what is happening is that there are so many fintech companies have come up. They have come up with lots of new things, right? Otherwise, we know that the bankers are working in their very, very usual way. They are also changing it, right? So what is happening is when the cash flow is so strong that the whatever is the cost of overall energy efficient project, even if for a 20% saving, is not even 5% of the total plant and machinery, right? Cost of that particular facility, right? And for that 95%, customer has paid the loan very clearly, right? So bankers say that yes, this customer will pay me for this amount also, right? So this can be done as a enhanced loan amount limit, right, with the same banker, right? So like those kind of flexibilities are coming up in so many banks, right? Like case of a personal loan, right, which is going to individual, right? You are not putting your part into that, right? You are not even asked what you are going to do. What is evaluated whether you have the repaying capacity or not, and just based on this single thing, right, the finance is made, right? So the company's credibility is far much bigger and far much better, right? Whereas the cost of the energy efficiency project is very, very less, right, as compared to the total cost of plant and machinery, which has already been put, or the total cost of facility, which has already been put. So it is very much possible that all this concept of demarcating that particular equipment, right, or mortgaging that, right? So that concepts are actually getting taking a second seat, right? And cash flow financing is taking the first seat. And of course, the interest rates are slightly higher, right? We cannot expect these interest rates to be in 9 to 10% category, but they are in the range of 12 to 14%. And savings in the energy efficiency project is so good that even 12 to 14% of interest, right, which is charged by the banker, right, or the leasing agency is easily acceptable or accommodatable. So that's how it is. Yeah.
Thanks. So the next question is how variation in the savings is accounted for while calculating the EMI.
Yeah, this is very important because if you are a commercial building, right, you will see that your summer electricity bill is twice or in case thrice of your winter bill, right, because of air conditioning load, right? Now what happens is your project will definitely be giving you different savings, right? So exactly savings in different months will differ, right? But your EMI or your lease rental, right, will remain constant, right? So what happens is that your month-on-month savings, right, will vary in terms of percentage. But what will definitely be there is your annual savings, right? And another trend that is happening today because of COVID or because of so much of interruption into production, right? The overall facility level baseline creation, that kind of a trend is now not possible, right? So what is happening is it is becoming simple. Like right now, this is the machine, this is the motor, right? In that machine, this one particular motor is drawing this much of kilowatt. Now you do whatever you do, right? After the change, how much of kilowatt it is drawing, and both of the measurements are completely transparent, right? Now the energy saving is actually dependent on the factory and plant also, because hours of operation, right, are not dependent on ESCO, right? Or ESCO cannot define that, right? Or bank cannot define that. That number has to come from the customer side, right? So from customer side, that number comes in like, for example, 250 days of operation, right? Or 15 hours a day operation, or 24 hours a day operation, or 12 hours a day operation, right? So like that H number is brought to it, and then power saving is converted to energy saving, and then the tariff. And tariff is also not in the hands of ESCOs. So all these values need to be prefixed, right? But ESCO's responsibility is definitely there in terms of delivering that kilowatt minus kilowatt. Yeah.
So I'll take the next question. ROI on replacement of energy efficient motors.
Yeah, very interesting question. Earlier, this ROI was higher, and the technology itself was not there. i4 and i5 motors are very recent. In fact, not all the manufacturers are manufacturing all sizes of i4 and i5. i5 is in fact very, very new, right? So the ROI now, because of these technologies, because in some of the motors, right, and that's where the competence of ESCO is to actually identify the motors wherein the actual savings will be there, right? So what happens is, what has been our experience is that around 30 to 40% of the motors, right, and actually be identified for motor conversion case, right, wherein some number in between 10 to 20%, and minimum 10% can definitely be guaranteed, right, for a case, right? And ESCOs do have that kind of a capability, right, to take the motor back, right, and not to bill it on the customer if that minimum guaranteed savings of 10% is not demonstrated. and refund the money to the customer. It's possible. So the risk of return is not on the customer. That's what is the contribution of ESCOS.
So the next question is, what kind of a collateral required for energy efficiency finance or green financing?
A very interesting question. See, what we are trying is to get away with this collateral requirement, right? Because this collateral requirement is a huge documentation. It's a very painful documentation, right? See, what happened, like for example, in our case, right? When we took the loan with SBI, there was collateral. When we took the loan with SIDBI, there was collateral, right? But when we took the loan with Tata Cleantech, there was no collateral, right? We had to demonstrate the project cash flow. We had to demonstrate our past project outcomes, right? So that's how we build the credibility, what we saw in today's presentation. So we actually built our credibility based on that because so much of collateral, where from ESCOS will bring in, right? ESCOS cannot bring that, right? Because ESCOS do not have that kind of a collateral. They can mortgage the equipment, that's fine, right? And that will happen, right? They can even escrow the account, wherein first the cash will come into the escrow account, the monthly account, and then the EMI will be deducted, and then the remaining amount will be transferred to escrow. So that's what happened in our case, right? But the requirement of collateral, we got away with it because collateral-based financing is not the future, right? So what will happen? Because the customer's credibility is way too bigger, right? The energy efficiency finance requirement is 5% of the total plant equipment capital, right? Which they have already financed by their banks, and they have already returned or paid all the EMI in time, right? So that is the credit worthiness of the customer, right? Now what we are talking about the 5%, right? And these are the fintech companies which have come in a big way, right? To do these kind of opportunities wherein the collateral or these kind of very stubborn kind of requirement which are there from the conventional banking system, and that's how they are taking the business away, right? And for that, what they are asking, a few percentage more, 3 to 4% higher interest rate, which is very much possible by any energy efficiency project to digest, and particularly energy efficient motor. Yes, the overall payback period will be there in less than or in the range of 1.5 year to 2 year max. And it is so easily demonstrable. I mean, the before kilowatt and after kilowatt can be so easily demonstrable, right? And what happens is if a motor, right, is not delivering savings, how ESCOs are able to give guarantee? Because they will be able to use this motor somewhere else, right? And the capital will get utilized, right? Because the OEM is not going to dispatch the motor unless and until full amount is paid to them. Yeah. Next question, please.
Next question. Yeah. If all equipments to be financed, if all the assets to be financed are to be in leased format only, all public sector banks will not be able to do it as RBI restricts banks from entering into a leasing.
See, what you are saying is a very much possibility, right? But even the public sector banks and everybody is changing, right? See, everybody knows that if you are not changing, right, your business is going away, right? Like for example, in our case, right, we were with SBI, right? But SBI had a limitation in terms of understanding at that point of time, right? I'm taking the names very frankly, right? But SIDBI has a very clear line of lending at that point of time on energy efficiency, right? So they entertained us, right? And what also happened, right? SIDBI Nagpur refused our loan, right? But SIDBI Pune accepted it, right? So you have to go, right? For our customers, we go all around. For our OEM Connect, we go all across the world, right? But when it comes to banking, we feel that the nearest bank from our office or from our residence should finance us. That doesn't happen. Every bank, every branch behaves in a different way, right? So that's something I would like to share with everyone, right? And consider bank as a vendor, right? They sell you money, right, at a cost that is called as interest, right? And for that, the way you select your vendor, right, the same way you have to select your banker also for that, right? And if that happens, right? But everybody is changing fast because everybody knows that if they don't change, and that is the reason why lease financing has picked up so very well, right? So very well, and that's the future, right? And the rate of interest, right, what leasing agencies are charging is much higher, right? And that gives them a good margin, right? But they're able to take that risk, right? And that's where their business is, right? It's not that everything will go as per the trend. No, things will have to improve, and things are improving very fast. And that's where energy efficiency has to hold in. Energy efficiency has to take benefit of this change that is happening in the lending community, the change that is happening in because of the fintech. Fintechs are startups, right? And they are making finance available to anybody and everybody whosoever needs it, right? We have to deliver our credibility to refund that, and ESCOS have to deliver the savings, what they are meant for, right? And for that they are responsible, and they have to take this guarantee. And that's how things will work out. Yes. Any last question?
Yeah. No, these are all the questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, audience, for your interest in listening it out. And do share your questions. You can reach out to us directly, right? You can reach out to me also directly. Please feel free. Let me share my screen and my number with all of you. This is my personal number, right? This is my WhatsApp number. I request you to send me a WhatsApp message, right? Because sometimes I may not take the call. And this is my personal email ID also, right? I'm in my official email ID. So you can write me email also, right? Any query or any help that you need for energy efficiency, you can do that. And whosoever is interested in reducing your energy costs, so put your data into energy link, right? Which Kunal must have shared. Means I'm saying this link, right? This energy link, right? So that we would be able to share you more things, and we will be able to help out with specifically those projects which are needed in your case. This is the platform. What we have done is that if any facility is able to put down what all equipment they have or what all processes they have, we will come back to them with all those energy specific energy efficient technologies which are applicable to them in a much better and faster way. So that's the purpose of this particular platform. So we urge you all to take a benefit of it. Thank you and goodbye. Bye bye.